Hello and welcome to my 6.0 Nahida guide. Today I'm going to be breaking down the best weapons, artifacts, and team comps so you know exactly how to build and play her. So let's get straight into it. First off, as a general overview, Nahida is like a hybrid Dendro DPS and a support. You're going to mostly play her off field, and her sub DPS capabilities are kind of lacking, especially at C0, but overall she's decent. And with her burst, she provides elemental mastery buffs for the whole team, and her skill is decent Dendro application. And overall, Nahida can be played in pretty much any type of Dendro related team, so Hyper Bloom, Burgeon, Quicken, and just even normal Bloom as well. And so now I'm gonna move over to her weapons. So her best weapon, in my opinion, is her signature 1000 Floating Dreams, just because of the elemental mastery buffs. And it is easier to get to 1000 elemental mastery with this weapon, so you can min-max her easier when it comes to artifacts. If you want like more DPS 5-star weapon, you can go Kagura's Verity or just any other crit catalyst. I wouldn't really recommend it. Like, her main utility now is just off-field Dendro application, and so I really want to recommend a DPS build, but you still can run it. And for 4 stars, you're going to want to run Sacrificial Fragments, as it has a high EM and also can reset your skill, which can be very nice. And if you're brand new to the game, you can run the Magic Guide for the EM. I'm going to have some more weaker builds and team comps just because of the newer players coming in 6.0. Moving on to artifacts, I feel like this is quite obvious, but her best set is Deepwood Memories, just for the Dendro resistance shred. You do also get a little bit of Dendro damage bonus for her personal damage, but the Dendro res shred, and since it can be applied off field, it's pretty much perfect for her in most scenarios except for like high multi-wave Abyss cycle. And if you already have another character on the team holding Deepwood, you can run Gilded, as it gives her just personal damage buffs, which she definitely needs if you want her damage to be meaningful. But overall, in your team, Deepwood is by far the best set you want to be running. For the main stats, you go EM on the Sands, and then Dendro damage on the Goblet, and then crit rate or crit damage on the Circlet, depending on what you need. Just remember to keep in mind that you do want around a 1-to-2 crit ratio when you're building her. So for substats, you want to go crit and then elemental mastery, and then also energy recharge. You can't get your burst up every rotation, and attack percent is okay, I guess. And now we're going to move on to Nahida's teams, and so I'm going to go over basically all of the Dendro related reaction teams. So first up is Hyper Bloom. So you'll have Nahida as your Dendro applicator, and then for your Hydro, you'll want to run Singsho, Yelan, Kokomi. Farina can work, I think, and Ino can also work, I believe, if you want to run her along with Lauma for the extra crit rate on the artifacts. And just overall, running her with Lauma will give the Dendro reaction buffs. And then for your Electro Trigger for the Hyper Bloom, Kuki is definitely the best, or you can run Raiden like an EM Raiden build on Dragon's Bane. But Kuki, in my opinion, is definitely the best, as she's also a healer. And then also, if you play Alhaitham, you can run Alhaitham and Nahida for the double Dendro, as Alhaitham does need a lot of energy to burst every rotation, and Nahida can help with that just for being that second Dendro and getting the extra particles. So you'd run Alhaitham, Nahida, and then something like Shingsho for the Hydro app, like the high Hydro application, and then Kuki for the Electro Trigger. And then moving on to Quicken and Spread, you'll have her off field, so Nahida, and then an Electro Carry, so Kaching, Sino, or Chlorend. You can also run Fischl in those teams as well. And then since Kaching, Sino, and Chlorend will be your main DPS characters, you can run a PV support or Shalonen just for extra resistance shred. And then with Burgeon, you're going to have Nahida, any of those Hydro applicators, so Singsho, Yelan, or Kokomi. And then your Pyro can be Toma, Shangling, or even Dia can also work. and then you can have like flex slot, so like any healer or shielder. This team is not very strong. If you want to play Bergen, I'd recommend playing Kaniche. So Kaniche, Emily, Chingling, Bennett. But this team is like okay, but definitely one of Nahida's weaker teams in my opinion. And then for Bloom Double Hydro, this team is actually quite good now with Lauma coming out in 6.0. So Nahida, Lauma, and then you can run Kokomi or Leon Singso. And then you can also run Nilu as the other Hydro if you want, or Ino, any of those. So just double Dendro, double Hydro. This team is very strong with Lauma, and with Lauma, this is probably the best team that you can run with Nahida. So overall, Nahida is still a decent character. However, she has fallen off quite a bit in my opinion, and that is because of Lauma, which I will be going into now. So with Lauma releasing in 6.0, she is basically just power creeps Nahida in my opinion. Her personal damage is better, and her buffs are better than Nahida. And even with Nahida at Constellation 2, Lauma is still better, and with personal damage, Lauma is still noticeably better than Nahida. So overall, Nahida is less valuable than she used to be, and I think her pull value has dropped off quite a bit just because of the character that happens to be releasing in the same version. If you like her, you can pull for her. Pulling for the characters that you like the most, you'll end up enjoying Genshin the most that way, in my opinion. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. So if you found this helpful, I'm going to wrap this up. So if you found it helpful in any way, leaving a like and subscribing will be greatly appreciated. And comment down below if you do plan on pulling for Nahida. And with that, I will see you all in the next one.